Hi guys! Today I'm going to talk about buzzers on violin, but one particular type of buzz or rattle, and that is when the top plate or back is coming off the instrument and it's causing a buzz, because it's something you can actually possibly identify yourself. Now, buzzers or rattles can be caused by any one of about 130 different things, from little bits loose on pegs to things loose on tailpieces and all sorts of things. But when the instrument is open, you will definitely be able to hear it when you knock the instrument. You just don't know 100% when you're hearing a buzz when you're knocking an instrument that it's not open with 100% certainty. So this particular instrument is a client's instrument, and I know that it has an open join. So as you can see, I've stripped it of all its parts so that nothing else, like none of the sort of externals, can buzz while I am tapping the top plate or the back. So the way I identify a rattle or a buzz or where it could be, is by very carefully knocking around the instrument. If you try this out yourself, it has to be a gentle knock, like this. So you knock just around where the purfling is here. So the purfling is the inlay work here. So you're just knocking around there, and you knock right around the instrument. Now, can you hear that? There's a different sound. So here you hear one sound. And there's almost an extra clicking, like a slapping kind of sound. So this is actually the open section right here. There you go, you can see it sort of lifting off. So there's definitely an open join there, and it needs gluing. The way I personally glue the join is I actually try to split the join open further with my splitting knife. And the reason I do that is that quite often, if there is an open spot here, the spots either side of it could be a bit on the weak side. So I actually just check by putting the knife in there, and I check if it'll split any further. So I'm going to test that here, and yes, it's splitting a bit further. So I'm putting a bit of pressure on, and I'll try the other way as well. No, the other side is very tight. So I'll just glue this area quickly. Here we go. I've got my glue hot already, so my glue is just over here. I've got a bit of chaos on my table today, I have to excuse me. So I just get the glue on the knife, and then I carefully put the knife into the opening here. I try not to put it in too far, because I don't want too much glue running around on the inside of the instrument. Then I do a little bit of rubbing with my fingers. I rub the glue into the edges, and then just clean the area, clean all the glue off the area that I've just put on there, and then I put my clamp on and I rub all the glue off. So that's the first part of this process. But then once I've finished, once I take the clamps back off, there's the second part of the process, which I'll be doing tomorrow. The thing about open joins is that it's actually very common. It's a common thing to happen, especially on older instruments, and it's not necessarily a terrible thing to happen. Obviously, violins or stringed instruments are made of wood, and wood reacts to humidity, so it moves. So when it gets dry, the plates shrink, and they shrink more in this direction than they do in this direction, because the capillaries that carry water and nutrients to the tree, they always go lengthwise. And so when they fill with water, they expand. When they dry out, they contract. Whereas this way, they just don't shrink as much, so up and down, so just more across. And especially on the top plate, the movement is a lot more because the top plate, it has a much more open growth. Like the spruce is a much less dense timber, so there's more room for liquid to be absorbed. So the instrument always expands and contracts. And if say the plates were very firmly fixed onto the sides, sometimes that could actually cause the instrument to just split, like a crack to develop instead of the instrument cracking open. And that's no good, because you would have seen from some of my videos, a crack repair is quite a big repair. It involves taking the plate off the instrument, gluing the crack, then reinforcing the crack, and then cleaning up the reinforcements, and then gluing the top plate back on. In most cases, that kind of repair is over $1,000 or just around $1,000. And so whereas just gluing the plates back on where they've come loose is more a maybe $100 to $200 repair. There's still some extra work to do, because as far as firstly I have to kind of test further, then I have to put the glue in. Obviously I have to clean the glue off, but the next day I have to clean the glue off even better. And then there's some varnish work to do, and then some polishing work to do. You know, it's a lot more straightforward, but not totally straightforward. You don't just put glue on and that's it. A lot of people do that, and that's not the way you glue up an instrument, because if you don't put the varnish back, that area could be more open to humidity getting at it and splitting the instrument apart again. So open joint, not a big deal. If you find one, contact your violin maker, very important, and they will sort it out for you. They will glue it for you. I don't recommend that you do it yourself unless you have a bit of experience in gluing. You saw how I did it, but like I said, there's a bit more to it. You have to do that varnish and polish work, so it does take a bit of skill. And if you have a valuable instrument, and this is the place where you learn to glue, you know, like when you first learn something, you make mistakes. So when you make mistakes, that could damage your beautiful instrument, and then you'll have to go back to the violin maker, get it fixed, and it could cost a lot more. If you're in outer lying, like if you're in totally remote areas, you might have to learn to do it yourself. But, you know, if you've got an expensive instrument, you know, always get a violin maker to do the work. But yes, to find out if the instrument has an open spot, like I said, you knock around the instrument, and that's how you find out if an instrument has an open spot or not. I'll come back tomorrow, take these clamps off and do the finishing touches so you can see what it takes to fully repair an open joint. Good morning, it's the next morning. It's a beautiful spring morning here in Brisbane. Okay, I've just got a bit of cold water, and I am soaking the area where I've glued with cold water to allow the glue to dissolve a little bit, just the glue that's on the outside of the instrument, on the varnish and things like that. I just want to clean off every little bit of residue of glue before I put on varnish. Okay, I've let this soak for about 15 minutes. I am just gonna wash off the glue with hot water. So that's washed off all the glue residue in the area. Next, I'll start just retouching the area. So add some varnish back on to where it cracked open, and then finally I will polish the area. I'm just going to hang it up and let it dry now. Okay, that's dried for a while now. Now sometimes when it's a bit chipped in there, I actually have to do a bit of color varnish retouching in there as well. You can see just down in here, that's actually a little bit on the light side, so I'll probably add a bit of dark varnish, and there's another patch just here. I mean, I think it was like that before, but I just want to make sure that it looks really good when it's finished. Okay, so now I'm just going to do a tiny bit of color retouching in here in a couple of these areas. Just here, and it looks a little bit light just around here. All I need to do now is just polish the area, not just polishing the corner, I am actually polishing the ribs as well. And that just protects the varnish from the outside. You know, a big worry about joints is that humidity gets to them and so they open up. By polishing the area and really filling it with varnish means that, you know, humidity, okay, it still gets at the instrument from the inside, but at least not from the outside. Okay, look, I am very close to finishing this violin and the service that I'm doing on it, but let's have a listen and see if it's still buzzing. That's sounding really good, so now I can put the strings on and the instrument will work beautifully again. I just want to keep polishing a little bit, so I won't show you this instrument with the strings on because it makes no real difference. It's just a service I did on an instrument, and as you can see, it's looking a lot better. If you are worried about your instrument and you think there might be an open area, that's exactly what you do. You tap around the sides very carefully and you listen out for that buzzing noise, that kind of slapping noise as you go around. So that gives you a good indication. If you can't find the buzz, then contact your violin maker. They will be able to find it for you. A buzz can be any one of around 130 different causes. So an open join is only one of those causes. Also, you can get a buzzing noise if the purfling here, this is the inlay, the purfling, if that is slightly loose, can also make a buzzing noise. So just be aware of that. It makes a slightly different sort of a buzzing noise. It's not such a loud slapping noise. It's a fainter sort of a rattle, but just good to know. So it can be any number of things, but it's usually a fairly clear noise. The areas that usually open up on an instrument are this area here. That's called the hand patch, and that's because your hand is there and you often have a lot of perspiration while you're playing, like the hand gets quite sweaty, and so these areas open up quicker. So really keep an eye on these areas, and also make sure that you keep varnish on these areas, because when the varnish wears off, the perspiration starts soaking into the timber, into the joints, and that can cause almost irreparable damage. Anyway, I hope you are more confident now in seeing if your instrument has got an open join. You know, like I said, you can carefully knock around it. Don't do it too hard. If you're unsure, always go to your violin maker. Anyway, hope you liked this video, and if you liked it, hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel, and there's a bell there. If you hit the bell, you'll get notified every time I post a new video. In the meantime, keep making beautiful music, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!